Welcome. This is the Between Brothers podcast, where we bring you real talk, authentic takes, and laughs on sports, pop culture, and life. I'm your host, the Duke of Dominions, Lando, with my big brother Zero, the Chancellor of Charisma. Zero. How have you been? How's your week?
It's been all right. Yeah, nothing really big happened this week. Just normal work. Um, oh, so no, went outside with the kids and their cousins were outside, and I was like, let me so they're throwing like a small basketball, and I'm throwing the ball with. I started throwing the ball with them, and um what you got, young palindrome. So he was talking trash, like, oh man, he's like, I'm gonna have everybody tapping their head and this, that, and the third. It's like, mind you, he's the tallest child out there. And he's like, and he's talking all this trash. I was like, yo, you literally catching you literally catching a baby basketball over children that you are over a foot taller than. Check your ego at the door. And it's the moment, the moment I said that, all of a sudden he started making excuse after excuse after excuse. No, but I mean, no, no, no. Check your ego at the door, because you're doing this against. It's like you're. Now I understand playing catch, but it's like you doing all this showing off. Now, if I am standing next to you and they start throwing the ball, it's not going to be the same thing like you think it's going to be. It's like humble yourself. Even today, throwing a football, he was talking all this trash. He's like, yo, he's like, I'm going to be having everybody tapping their head and this, that, and the third. And I was like, okay. So I started throwing, so I'm just throwing the football to them. He talking about he was going to be mossing everybody. That kid could not catch a pass if his life depended on it. It's like, yo, check your ego at the door. It's like, it's like, it was like, yeah, it's like, yeah, you the nicest when you're going against elementary kids. When you catching passes over third and fourth graders, yeah, you the best. It was like, yo, you gotta. He's like, chill out. Check your ego at the door, dog. You don't need to be doing all that. He was like, he got humbled real quick because as soon as I threw him every pass, every time he dropped the pass, I was like, look at you, all these little kids, you can't catch a pass. And I just found it, and then they wanted to play football. I was like, you want to play 2-on-2 football out in the street? That I was like, yeah, that ain't happening. But yeah, I had those 2 days of going over and just playing catch with the kids. Nothing much.
So, my I watched a couple movies. So I watched the latest Superman movie. It was a solid movie. Pretty good superhero movie. Uh, I remember when it first dropped. I had meant to watch in the theaters and bring the boys, but it's just Link started working, so it was just difficult to find because I'm on my day off. where I would have time, he was working and then he'd go from work and had to go straight to school. So so just never found the time. And I probably should have done one of those like rent it from your cable box or something like that kind of thing. But I didn't even think about it to be honest. But so I finally watched it. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Uh, it was engaging and everything like that. So and it was kind of funny. I guess like as because James Gunn was doing it, and he did the Guardian of the Galaxy movies, but I guess because it was Superman, it wasn't as like vulgar as as Guardians of the Galaxy had tended to be. So it wasn't. Maybe that's why it wasn't as funny, but I enjoyed the movie. And then I watched the latest Denzel movie, Highest to Lowest. Very, very, very mediocre movie. Like it was. Duchess is like she'll give it a C plus. I'm like, you give it a C plus because Denzel was. It was a D. It was a D plus, C minus at best. The motive of the for those who didn't watch it, it's pretty much Denzel's a music guy, music mogul, who son gets kidnapped, but his son isn't actually the one who gets kidnapped. It's his best friend's son that is kidnapped as far as mistaken identity, and then it's the process of getting him back. They had this weird music selection. They were playing like like when scenes are intense and it's like the chase and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing like jazz band music during these scenes. And I was like,
Not,
this is the first
but
time
not
I've
like
it
not
wasn't
like
like
Cowboy Bebop
suspenseful.
type of thing.
Yeah, like that.
What's wrong
Yeah.
with that?
So I'm not even gonna grace that question with an answer. So like, but but like it was like it just brought no intensity to to the movie. Matter of fact, there was one movie or there was one anime I was watching, Lazarus, and it was the same thing. Like even though that was actually a really good anime, but it was just like this jazzy, upbeat kind of music, and it's like this is a serious moment going on right here. Like, and then there was like this weird scene where they'd like go into a Yankees game and they're on the subway and they're like screaming Yankees chants. It just felt like the Duchess watches Tyler Perry shows. And there's one particular one that she watches a lot, even though she says she hates it, but she can't get away from it, called Sisters. And every time I watch a full episode of this show, which is a 30-minute show, it has about 3 scenes that are just like, I guess it's supposed to be comedic scenes, but they're like nothing scenes. Like it's like they're like throwaway scenes. And that happens in a movie. That shouldn't happen in a 30-minute show. But in this movie, it was just like the Duchess had pointed something out. I was like, oh, it's like this. It was a slow start, and it was getting there. And then she was like, yo, like when are we gonna get to the thing? I was like, yo, the movie, like, and she was like, yo, the movie's 2 hours and 13 minutes. We're an hour and a half in, and we still don't have nothing. And I was like, wow, she's right. And then the movie ended, and it was it was not a good movie. I don't think it was even an average movie. I put it as a D minus, or I'm sorry, D minus, D plus. So I thought it was a below average movie. But if anybody who wants to watch it and judge for themselves, it's on Apple TV Plus. But anyways, let's get to these topics, man. So first things first. Um, man, a lot of things happened, man. A lot of things happened this week. First, I want to get this out the way. Diddy. We said we were going to update y'all when we got the news and got the verdict and all this other stuff. Diddy has been found was found guilty, and he is finally being officially sentenced to 50 months, a little over 4 years, which he's getting like a year or somewhere around there of time served. So he'll be out in about 3 years. What are your thoughts on the sentencing?
Well, when he had gotten the sentencing isn't surprising to me because when he actually got the verdict, it was already said that he might only have to serve what 4 years, still a long time, but they said he wasn't gonna serve that long in prison in the first place. I think four was what was being said, four maybe five. So
Yeah, because
when
he had never he would technically be a first time offender.
yeah, so
So
I'm not even surprised at all of the number. It's like, yeah, it's like, that's what was predicted. That's exactly what it is that he got. It's like, hey, it is what it is at this point. Yeah, I didn't think too much of it.
so I'm surprised that because of how the judge was talking to him, I thought the judge would have gave him a lot more. Um, like maxed him out because he was facing 10, so max would have been 10. But I think that probably would have got overturned in appellate court just because he never had any major issues going on or anything like that.
Maybe that
Um,
letter helps.
well, the letter that Cassie had wrote is what kept him in jail.
No, I mean the letter that he wrote to the judge.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
hear
he
about
wrote a
that.
letter to the judge.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know, because they said like he didn't seem remorseful, and then also he was booking shows and appearances before the sentencing. Like you don't even know what you about to get. They could have threw the book at you and gave you the whole dime. And yeah, you're like, nah, bro. Like we doing these shows, being optimistic, and then it's like, nah, you gotta cancel it all because now you gotta do 3 years. So I noticed like a lot of people was like, oh, he's not gonna be away for very long. So protect. Now I heard a lot of people saying, protect your booty holes. So I was like, so me and the Duchess had a back and forth about it because I was like, okay, we have seen some very deep, dark, demented things about Diddy and his sexual life, in which none of them he was performing homosexual penetration, either getting it or giving it. Why is that still a thing? Now, the weird thing, the almond joy on the nipples, that and some of the things that he was doing, licking it off for Cassie, doing on some real weird
Fucking sadist.
what do they call it, voyeurism or something like that, like that stuff, like okay, like that was, but and that he was doing everything as gay as possible without having gay sex. So I'm like, why is everybody? And so they're like, oh, so Duchess is like, oh, I believe it, I believe it. And I was like, well, at some point we have to believe in evidence.
Yeah.
And she was like no, like he has a bunch of lawsuits against him for sexually assaulting men and women. I said they had a chance to put him away for the rest of his life. None of these people came forward to testify against him.
It's only two people.
But he has like 13 lawsuits against him. I think 7 or 8 of them was from Jane or John Doe's. And I'm like, that doesn't even mean anything. Like, because you have the right to face your accuser. So it's like if they never reveal themselves, it's not a real thing. So then there was I forget what the guy's name is, but her best friend knows the guy. He was like a producer or something like that. So he has like a big lawsuit against him, and but that's been going for like 2 years. And then he had another lawsuit against him where a prison inmate from years ago, the dude's an inmate in Michigan, saying that he did whatever to him, and he has like a default judgment of $100 million on him. But this is also a while ago, and nothing's been paid. No, the lawyers are fighting it, saying like he never got adequate time to even prepare himself for a trial. So why is it that he to not only prepare himself but appear to the court case to fight it? So it's like a bench order that could easily be dismissed. But I'm like, all these people just didn't come forward. And then there was no testimony of him having homosexual relations with other men. So I'm like, why? And she's like, well, I believe it. And I'm like, okay, at some point, we're believing what we want to believe versus believing like there has to be evidence of like I've heard a lot of people say like, Diddy was on some gay stuff, but they never said anything like him actually doing homosexual things. It's just like certain mannerisms, and so she was, and then I was like, they kept saying like they had all these celebrities involved in these freak offs, and nothing came from it. And they put their whole testimony, and I said, and so she was like, well, just because I said the FBI, and I kept going back to this one. I said the FBI went through everything. They said they had thousands of hours of surveillance. Nothing came out. And she was like, well, the FBI, yeah, you're going back to the surveillance, but you don't know what else they had going on, this and the other. I said, you think the only thing that they looked at were his surveillance tape? You didn't think they went through his computers, his email? Like they combed through his whole life, and that was the best thing they could have came up with. And like I said, they put the whole trial off of the testimony of Cassie and those related to Cassie in some way, shape, or form. There was like 3 real witnesses out of this whole RICO case. And it's just like it just doesn't make sense that where we keep saying this about Diddy. Is he a weird dude? And is he possibly bisexual? Yeah. There is that possibility. But he was bringing male escorts in to do things to his girlfriend while he watched. He did not join in said acts. According to this woman gave up all the most intimate details of the things that he'd like to do in the bedroom, and none of it involved him bending anybody over or getting bent over. So we have all this stuff, nothing comes out, it's just like, oh, well, I believe it anyways. Just because he's a piece of crap doesn't mean that everything that he's accused of is the truth. And I'm like, because it's like there's this weird guy talking about Jay-Z as his dad that's been suing Jay-Z or taking Jay-Z to court every 5 minutes to get a paternity test and going to different states in order to do it. Does that mean that he's telling the truth? I was like, and then when you could consider this, the FBI, the greatest investigative team arguably in the world, went through everything and they didn't find nothing. These people also went through Michael Jackson stuff, didn't find anything to even be able to put a case up. And they surveilled him, wiretaps, all kinds of stuff for 10 years and couldn't build a case against him. Yet they did the same thing to R. Kelly, they did the same thing to Epstein, and they both ended up in prison. So it's like this wasn't like some rinky dink local detective that was doing these things, which we'll get to rinky dink cops here in a second.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know. Like at some point we got to start believing the evidence. And also, I mean, if he's into that, if he's bisexual, so be it. You know, it don't change nobody's lives or anything like that. But like at the end of the day, like she was like, you know, and even some of the stuff with the underage, like there was rumors about him being with underage girls, and I'm like, yeah, but nothing came from that. At just like Michael Jackson, while the rumors about Epstein and R. Kelly, when they went through their stuff, that was true. So I'm like, so we can't like believe it. Like, all right, we don't believe that the evidence showed that Michael Jackson wasn't a predator. The evidence showed that. But we believe it for Michael Jackson, and rightfully so, because the evidence shows that. But Diddy, because we don't like Diddy, the evidence don't have to say anything. And it's just like, oh well. And that's why I was just making to the point to her, like, you're like at this point you're only believing what you want to believe because you don't like the person. Similar to, you know, me, you've had conversations about her and Clarissa Shields. It's like everything Clarissa Shields does is wrong, but she's probably the least wrong person in that entire situation. It's like, all right, the two people who are allegedly cheating on each other and things of that nature. And then it's like, and like I said, we all have our biases. I've mentioned this. I don't think I mentioned on the podcast, but I've said this to you. Like when you listen to fitness guys, like they're fitness guys who are all about like bodybuilding. So they're going to give you everything in a bodybuilder's perspective. Mm-hmm. While there's fitness guys who are really into calisthenics, who are going to give you everything in a calisthenics perspective. So it's just like we all have our biases based off of what we like. And that's the thing that annoys me about a lot of people is they act like they don't have biases. Even me as somebody who tries to call it as even as possible with a lot of things, I have my biases. You know, like I don't know. Yu Yu Hakusho is the greatest anime of all time. Can't nobody tell me different. It don't matter what you tell me how great Naruto was, Dragon Ball Z, you're not going to convince me that Yu Yu Hakusho isn't the greatest. And everything is based off, and all my perspective about how good an anime is based off of me believing that that's the greatest of all time. But let's move off to Diddy. We won't see him for another 3 years. Mm-hmm. Speaking of somebody else getting arrested, Mark Sanchez.
You know what? I watched that game today that he was supposed to broadcast. I wasn't sure if he was still broadcasting that game.
Nah, he's out. He's still in the hospital. As far as like him being jailed, he's still the stabbing. Though he survived, was I heard it was pretty like he sustained a significant injury.
Got you.
So the story was, bro gets stabbed, and people are like prayers for Mark Sanchez, this and the other, which makes understandable. Understandable that that's the reaction that you would make. Come to find out, he was drunk, yelling at somebody, apparently took a swing at this guy. The guy pepper sprayed him, in which he continued to pursue him and then got stabbed. So the police are like, he was completely justified in shanking, son.
you want to know what makes it even worse?
What's that?
The guy he was following is 69 years old.
Bro.
You got
you got put in the hospital by first of all, you know what? I ain't even blaming Mark Sanchez no more. I ain't gonna blame him. Because for real, why are you still out here? Why are you out here 69 years old in the middle of the night out in these streets having a job? Go home. Go home. Collect on your 401k. Collect your social security. You should not be out here risking your life like this, dog. Enjoy your retirement. You're of retirement age. There's no way he's actually 69. You serious?
Yeah, I'm reading the details.
So he pulls up on the guy, tells him as far as what I saw, tells the guy to get off the strip, but the boy didn't budge. Instead, he pulled out a newer 38 snub. Shout to Jay-Z. And he pepper sprays him. And bro was like, nah.
Yo, it says,
He had the Steven Seagal. Is that all you got?
yo, they said, yo, this shit said, that, the last sentence said, when you said he got hit, is that Sanchez allegedly kept striking or punching. They called the guy PT until the man got up and stabbed him one more time. At which point Sanchez looked shocked and ran away in an alley. And this dude turned to a fucking mugger.
Yo, dude turned into a damn putty from the Power Rangers.
Yeah, they said they found him later at a pub and eatery. That dude, that dude was telling the story to the bartender.
When he went back, he went back to drink some more.
He's
Mark, man. Mark freaking Sanchez.
like,
The Jets, I saw a meme that said, um, the Raiders and Mark Sanchez both got carved up in Indianapolis. Yo, y'all better stop playing with them Indianimals, yo.
He's 69 years old. This is a
Nah,
69-year-old white dude. He ain't no Indianimal.
he is the definition of an Indianimal. Shoot. He's an Indianimal. She's an Indianimal.
Yeah.
I bet he
Yo,
did that
that nigga,
Indianimal
yo, he
dance
started
after.
stabbing him. He said, yo, you creaming.
Yo. Oh, he literally was creaming that red stuff.
Sanchez got stabbed once, didn't realize that he got stabbed again. He
I didn't
said
know he got stabbed twice.
he got stabbed twice. He got stabbed once. He didn't even notice that shit. He just kept on attacking. He
That's
got
how
stabbed
drunk he
again,
was.
and he was like, "Shit."
Old man was like,
And
man,
ran into an alley like Batman.
old man, old man was like black from the beef DVDs. Like, man, the lights went out and I just started poking
I'm just started
niggas.
poking niggas. And that's the truth and the whole truth. And nothing but the truth, so help me God. Yo, he's like, just not, he's like, if somebody grabs the gat, we all dead. So I started poking niggas. Zan just kept coming. He tried to Incredible Hulk that nigga, then he realized he's still Bruce Banner.
Oh.
It ran into an alley, like slid into the dark, like flow from the Progressive commercial. Yo, don't they
We
got a
should
curse?
not be making fun of people getting stabbed, but the way that when I saw that he got stabbed, and hours later I get a Twitter update saying that he's been arrested. I was like, oh,
Yo,
he started it.
yo, the fact that you, the fact that you, the, the fact that you in the back of the cop car bleeding. So man, I gotta wash his backseat off. Look at this motherfucker. Ain't you
No,
broadcasting the game?
I think he was. I don't think he was I don't think he was transported in a cop car. I think he got arrested at the hospital.
Oh,
So
he was in his hospital gown.
he just woke up with handcuffs on his arm.
Look, yo, that dude started acting like, oh, what's his name? Dead. Oh, what's his name? From The Dark Knight. When the Joker walked in and he couldn't lift his arms up.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly what he
yeah,
woke up with the IV in his arms.
yeah, for sure.
Rachel. he, he looked across, he saw the dude that stabbed him. He pulled the coin. Like, you live, you die.
Bruh, that don't make no sense. Like, you got a game this weekend. You got to call a game this weekend, and you get so drunk out of your mind, you start picking on a 69-year-old elderly man.
Who was unloading a truck. He just
Like,
walked up and opened his door.
yeah, he's unload. So it's like, who made you the boss? Your last name is Sanchez, not Sanderson. You don't get the privileges like you think you do. You
Oh
can't go. You
man.
can't go be a Karen. People was like, I saw somebody on Twitter saying like, "Oh, you guys." So she says. So she goes prayer to Mark Sanchez. Why would anybody want to kill him? So people was like, he was being a Karen. He assaulted a guy, and he effed around and found out.
Now he's about to find out he jobless.
Then the person goes, "Well, where's the footage?" So you didn't need proof that. So you instantly went to that somebody intentionally tried to kill him. So you
And
didn't need
then
proof of that, but you needed proof that he started it. And then when a bunch of different replies hit her up, including somebody sending her the news report that he was arrested for assaulting the person, and the person was not arrested because they were acting in self-defense, then she's like, oh. I was like, this is why I hate social media. This is why I hate social media. But,
you'll believe anything, and then when you're proven wrong, you need proof.
bruh, but you know what? I will commend her though. She at least was like, okay. Most people they'll just
They'll keep on going.
yeah, yeah. Like for example, I had posted. Some guy was like, evolution is a proven fact, and I was like, no, there's data that supports evolution, but there's also data that doesn't. So because nobody has actually observed it, we can't say that either one is this. So I was like, in fourth grade, they told us theory versus law. So people was like, oh no, that's not how scientific theory works, and this, that, and the other. Okay, that's fine, whatever. I said my point was he said that evolution is a fact, but it's not. Because there is stuff that like there hasn't been like a complete species change. And also there's things that like initially they thought that dinosaurs were lizards that shrunk. Now they're saying dinosaurs were feathered that became chickens and birds and things of that nature. So clearly there's like a disconnect that science has not been able to. So you can't say it's a fact, right? So
Correct.
people kept harping on me saying the theory law thing, where Lord, zero. I get still get dinged. This was a month ago. I still get dinged from people saying there's theory and you're wrong about theory and law. That wasn't my point. But y'all are still on this thing. Zero. I got 109 replies of people telling me the same thing that 100 other people told me. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all?
Oh man.
You're like, hold on. I'm gonna kill him with this one. Let me see this. Let me copy and paste.
Yep.
Like, and so it was just like, so you see this in social media where it's like, okay, but like, all right, let's say, again, this is what they told us in science class when I was in school. If there's a difference, whatever. I don't care. My point was, it's not a fact. But nobody, I was like, okay, tell me what's factual about it. Nobody has told me. Again, I got 109 responses. Zero have told me what's factual about it. Again, and they were like, "Oh, it's because you're religious, and you believe in God, and this and the other." I'm like, this has nothing to do with God. This has everything to do with this person said, "Oh, well, there were oxygen levels that were higher back then, and that's why dinosaurs are so large versus now." And I'm like, okay, well, what's the evidence of that? Oh, well, read a science book. Well, none of these scientists lived 60 million years ago. So how do they know? I'm like, but except for like being like, okay, let's educate this person, they're like, you're wrong. And so it's just strange how like people like, okay, we're gonna harp on this one thing that we believe you're wrong about versus focusing on the point. So this person, at least she was like, yo, let me, all right, you know what? Since 100 people have come at me about this thing, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm telling people, I've told people multiple times, Zero, like, okay, that is what it is. Tell me what's factual about evolution. And there's a bunch of people, nobody's responding to that. Or they're like, oh, well, if you read a book, and I'm like, okay, but, and then they said, oh, well, you believe in a book that was written 2,000 years ago. And you believe, I'm like, but that doesn't even make sense. Like that you're harping on me for that. So you're saying a book that actually has like archaeological evidence of events that happened in the Bible today. We could get to that today. You don't. That's all fairy tale. But something that happened 65 million years ago that humans have never been a part of. That's impossible to have been made up. Like,
Yep.
doesn't even make sense. But it is what it is. Well wishes to Mark Sanchez. Stay out of these Indian animal streets, dog. Stay out of these Indian animal streets,
Yeah.
dog.
It'd be funny if he danced over his body too. If he actually hit the ground.
If that man would have hit the hey, that old man would have hit one of them. Nah, but that old man wasn't playing. He wasn't he wanted him to know he was trying he was fighting for his life. This because you gotta think like Mark Sanchez is like 6'3", 2 and some change. Who knows what this old man was looking at? You know what I'm saying? Just this drunk Mexican guy coming at him being crazy. And Mark Sanchez isn't like out of shape either. So that guy's probably scared for his life, man. But uh it's time to get serious. The great American philosophers NWA once said F the police. This particular situation is the reason why so many black people have disdain for the police. So Kyren Lacy, young man who was A prospect, NFL prospect, was accused of killing somebody in a car accident. A bunch of people jumped on him, harped on him. Then they started attacking his character, saying he was doing gun celebrations on the sidelines. Of course, he's a despicable individual. To the point where he got so much social media bullying, he terminated his life. I I feel bad. I usually don't feel bad for people who do that, but in this case, because like makes even for me more like, man, like you had everything going for you and it all got taken away, but you knew you were innocent. Why didn't you just go through it? Shut the social media off and go through it. So now people have lost their a son. I don't know if he had siblings, but people lost a son over this. People lost a teammate over this. People lost a student over this. Footage comes out. The car that he's driving is a football field away
A fucking football field away.
from the accident. When the police person, I shouldn't even call them a person. The police officer says pretty much for, convinced the person who's telling the story to include him in it. For what reason is utterly unknown.
It made no sense.
And it's like, for what? For what? Like, why did you do that? Like, what was the goal of that? Now, again, in all honesty, it's very unusual that he did do that to himself.
Hmm.
I don't, like he might have had a lot of things going against him. He might have had a lot of stress on himself as it is, and this just set him over the edge.
Yeah, because like you said, not only did he get bullied online, shoot, they even like of course they question his character. NFL, yeah, the NFL because of what happened, the NFL literally stripped his invite for the combine. It was like with everything going on, it's like if he would have made it, he probably would have went undrafted because they say he has character concerns. And it's like the fact that this. I think the thing that bothers me the most is the fact that this shit is only coming out now.
But it was April that this happened, right?
Now I think he took his life in April.
Yeah, because the comedy is.
This happened in January.
Why did it take 10 months for this to drop?
Yeah, that's the thing that bothers me the most. Is like it's like he. Of course, now I'm not. There is no. There is no like trying to gloss over him taking his life because of what was transpiring. The fact, legacy, like you just said, it took 10 months for them to finally put something out, for the lawyer to come out and be like, hey, it's this and this that proves his innocence. You could have proven his sin. You could have, like, What the fuck was the holdup?
But that's on the prosecution side. He was he was he was he was arrested for this. He was charged for this with no evidence that he did anything.
Like, what's the agenda there? What why is it the guy is like? Were you just did you just want to target the guy with the most expensive car? Like, did you feel some sort of way because he didn't pull over and see if everything was okay? Is that why you wanted to include him in the situation? But it's like even from the pictures of the car accident, the vehicle that he was driving was in no way, shape, or form the reason. Like,
Here's what I don't understand how he was charged for this when there was no damage to his vehicle.
none, unless they were trying to.
At minimum, you would at least need that. I like you see this. All right, you know what? We're gonna investigate and we're gonna charge somebody. So our investigation showed, yeah, you were there, but there's no damage to your car. There's not.
Not,
There's
but I don't think it was not because it was saying that he he was accused of speeding and illegally passing people on Louisiana Highway 20 and causing a head-on collision,
Oh, so what? There's
saying
the
that
truck.
he was the reason
He
why a
was the
car
reason why
swerved.
the two
Yes,
cars. So even though he skated off free, it's
yeah,
not like in those
he's
high speed chases where they be swerving and cars end up
yeah.
crashing each other. Okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
even though the footage shows that they collided before he even entered into the chat. All right, man. It's still 10 months.
So the prosecution held that up because the defense attorneys can't get anything until the prosecution gives it to them. I do know that.
And they said he passed yeah, he took his life the day before he was supposed to go to court.
That's the thing that bothered me. So then it made him look even more guilty in his passing. But to be honest, I forgot about this because it'd been so long ago. I was like, oh, like like maybe he did have something to do with it, and then that was it. And then this comes out, and I feel so. I wonder what was going through what was going through him because, like for example, I think it was Ruggs who actually killed somebody in a car accident.
Yeah.
Two people, or no, it was a lady and a dog or something.
Lady and the dog.
And he's faced it and he's going through it and his career is over. So I'm like, you ended it before it even began. And I'm wondering, so it's just like, yeah, that makes you look bad in the court of public opinion. But now that, like, what's going to happen to this police officer? What's going to happen to this police department?
Yeah, because there's
What's
no
going to
way that
happen?
you could see this body cam. Oh, and the lawyer even said with the
Uh-huh.
body cam footage when he told old boy what to write down, his body cam foot, yeah, he turned his body cam off before the confession was actually even made by a witness that was there. So he literally cut off his so there's no evidence of I think it was no evidence of somebody else that was writing their statement. It's still and somebody and supposedly her statement was written but wasn't signed as well by somebody who was allegedly there.
It was a woman who got into the crash, right?
Yeah.
So why did she lie? Why, like, was it like, okay, it's I'm not going to look as bad if I say this because it
Okay.
really wasn't my fault and I'm going to get away with this. I don't even know how you come to that conclusion. Like, how did even the police, how was the police officer there to like witness this? To, like, because how does a police officer get like find out about his car even being present to
Mhm.
even try to incriminate him for it? Enough, I remember, I remember when I was selling jewelry. And I've talked about this guy in this podcast before, a guy named James. Rest in peace to James. And he had mentioned something about white lies. So he was like, man, little white lies, like, to sell people, like, just tell a little white lie here, a little white lie there. There's nothing wrong with little white lies. I was like, well, there's everything wrong with little white lies. And he's like, come on, man, ain't no, it's just, it doesn't mean no harm. I said, say that to Emmett Till. Say that to Tulsa. And he was like, oh, man, I ain't mean it like that. Like, but he was cool as hell. He wasn't like, he's a mad cool dude. But he didn't mean it like because when they call it white lies because they're supposed to be innocent,
Yeah.
and it doesn't hurt anybody. It's just like, no, like this is another white lie that ended a black life. All for what? I wish nothing. These are the people who is just like, I hope you get everything you deserve. And it sounds good, but I'm like, when I say I hope you get everything you deserve, I'm not talking about the good stuff. Because there has to be some kind of justice exacted for this, right? Like
Yeah.
you just losing your job, like what does that do? He could still work at Starbucks and make the same money that he makes as a cop, probably.
Shoot, he could just go one town over and get and still do law enforcement in the following in the next town.
Yeah, so it's just like, and then now this is going to cost the police department mad money. Similarly to like we find this out days after Terrence Crawford, right after his own victory parade, gets cops pulling guns on him. It's like, what is up with these cops? But the cops pulling guns on Terrence Crawford, that's one thing. The most famous person in the city of Omaha gets guns drawn on him. Still nigga.
Yep.
Did you see? And the funny thing is, it's like they say, oh, all you gotta do is comply. This is the most famous person. He just left the parade that these people were patrolling, so it's not like they didn't know who he was. And they do this, and he was compliant. That could have easily went very badly.
Yes.
And he was compliant. Same thing with Kyren. He didn't do anything wrong. Hey, there was an accident here. Let me go. This ain't none of my business. I'm gonna go ahead and move around this because the light is still green.
Yeah.
Oh. So you don't want to stop? All right. Let me concoct this scheme so that way you can be implicated. And it's just like, okay, you're you want him to do whatever, but to the point where you go to a prosecutor and say, this guy needs to be arrested and charged for this thing that he had nothing to do with. Good Lord. Like, God help us, you know?
Yeah.
It's sad, man. Like, this is the state that we live in. Like, this is the country that we live in, that the police officers are doing these corrupt things to young men that got their whole lives ahead of them. Now, again, is it unusual that he, killed himself? Yes, because it's just like, yo, no, like somebody like me, I'm like, I know I didn't have nothing. I'm gonna face it. But who knows? But it's just like, yeah, but he had his whole world crashing down, and they already set you up. So why would you be optimistic that this trial is gonna go your way? They
Yeah.
already set you up. Who knows what other framing they've done to put you in that? You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, this is so sad, man. It's one of the saddest stories I've heard this year. And like I said, the guys like Barstool Sports, some guy from there was like, "Oh yeah, of course, this is what he evolved in," and then posting pictures of him with the gun stuff, and now he's like, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Now that the evidence came out, maybe I should have waited." And this is that and the other. It's like, shut up, you pig! Like, shut up. Your apology means nothing. Because especially because you're a part of a famous sports network or social media network or whatever it is. You posting stuff like this, you charging up these people that believe this about this kid.
Yeah.
I hope every time a brother see you, they swing on you. Whether they connect or not, just take a swing at you.
Yep. I hope you take a shit and your toilet don't flush.
I just need you to be looking over your shoulder at all times.
I hope when you walk into your kitchen, a bunch of roaches come out the sink.
Like, man, I hope they get so much money out of this damn police department that the damn thing can hardly operate.
It was yeah, I hope they get so much money they end up like you ever seen the movie Walking Tall
It's been
with
a
The
long
Rock?
time. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I hope they get so much money out the motherfuckers that the Lacy family end up running the department. So I can vouch for every last one of these men. You're fired.
um, yeah, prayers to the Lacy family. Um, I know no amount of money can bring your son back. I wish that could solve all your problems,
Yeah,
but yeah, man,
hope it's
these young people, like people saying like these young people are so soft and this and the other, and it's like, man, like I said, I've witnessed it myself, like where people, I got 100 people telling me the same thing. In the sense where it's like, oh, like I got 100 people calling me stupid because of one thing that I might have gotten wrong, except for, so it's just like if I came up in this, if I was 10 years younger, 15 years younger, I don't know how that would affect me. You know, and then these people are so weird because they're like, oh yeah, well you believe in God, and I'm like, oh, the only way you would know that is like you're trying to find what you did because my page is private. So what you did was you typed in, you looked up my profile to try to attack me in other ways.
Yeah.
But because you couldn't find that, you decided to, and it's just like, yo, like, you know, that's why you need to be able to pull up on these people. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, like if you just be like, you know what, say one more thing. Like back in the day, if you say something again, I'm pulling up, and you can pull up and beat somebody up, no consequences, no nothing, as long as they don't die. A lot of these people won't have the audacity to do what they do on social media, attacking this kid for something that he didn't do, something he had nothing to do with. It's sad, man. This is America. All right. All right. Last thing I want to talk about. Ayesha. Ayesha.
Well, why can't you just stay off the fucking camera?
No, actually, she should be on the camera. Just not for this. All right. So the story here, people, is Ayesha Curry did an interview. She had mentioned some things. Paraphrasing, she was like, "I didn't want. I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to be married. I didn't want to have children. Had like a career in front of me, and then it just became this whole thing, and I was, next thing I knew, we got married, and I was pregnant, and da 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 da. All right, the Duchess was talking to me about this, and before I knew that what she actually said, based off of what the Duchess was telling me about it, I had said, "Here's what I believe. I believe it's like, okay, your dad, he was an NBA player, but he was, average guy, nobody to write home about. You're gonna have a nice little career, everything's gonna be cool, and then we get home. And then you retire after about 10 years. And you're gonna float under the radar because you're not LeBron, you're not like this specimen of a human, things of that nature. So it's like, yeah, you'll probably have a nice career if you keep pushing. And then he became a superstar. And then it became all about him. And then it's like you had this sense in your mind he was going to be an average player. You're going to have a regular life. You're just going to be married to an NBA guy, and then what you'll do is you'll tell people, "Oh, my husband plays basketball. Oh, who is he? Oh, your husband plays. He plays in the NBA. Oh, who is he? Steph Curry. Oh, what team does he play for again? You thought he was going to be one of those guys, but instead he ended up being the second biggest star in basketball. He ended up being a four-time champion, and you got lost in the sauce because this initially started with you saying, dudes, paraphrasing or probably just making this up, dudes don't be in my DMs like women be in his DMs. And Ayesha Curry's not an ugly woman. She's a very pretty woman. Mm-hmm. They have a beautiful family. As far as the basketball wives, she was ranked second. It was Savannah, then her. These were the, like, if you're a basketball wife, that's the example you wanted to be. The great American philosopher J. Cole once said he want that Will and Jada love. Fast forward 10 years later, You don't want no part of that love. She is Jada Pinkett Light.
Yeah.
Diet Jada Pinkett. You out here embarrassing Steph for no reason. Like, this is unprovoked. Like, tell that to your therapist. Why are you telling that in an interview? And she's like, yeah, and I've gone through this in therapy. Didn't let it stay there. And he tries to be helpful, but he just doesn't understand because he's a man. And like as men, they can do these things and have their careers, and as a mom, and this is and the other. And the Duchess was like, yo, I understand where she's coming from, but I said, but here's the problem. She got a cooking show. She got a cookbook. I don't know if that's what she went to college for, but you were in the culinary field.
Mm-hmm.
No one stopped you from pursuing anything.
You're still living your dream out. It's just
You
that you want the spotlight.
And so I heard somebody said she thought they were probably when they were together, because I think they were together from high school.
Uh-huh.
So when they were together, she was probably the big dog on campus. And then when it stopped being about her, she got lost in the sauce. And she always thought it was like, who was that one pastor? And he was like, yeah, I told my wife that she wasn't my type when we first got married. Like, that's what that feels like. It's like, oh yeah, you weren't really my type. I just got with you because I felt like you was cool. What's the girl name? She said it. Travis Hunter,
Oh,
his
Travis
wife,
Hunter's wife.
his wife. Oh yeah, he wasn't my type. Like, that's what
Yeah,
that
he
feels like.
wasn't your type, and then when you found out exactly who he was,
Yeah, then you were like, okay, let me take this serious. But Ayesha was before that. That's the big difference between the two of them. Like, Steph worked himself into what he had become. Steph was not this huge prospect coming out of. If he went to Davidson, okay, he wasn't. And he lived in North Carolina. He lived in North Carolina where you had NC State, UNC, and Duke.
fucking Tobacco Road is right in your backyard.
Bruh, because I went a few years back, as those who've been listening to this podcast for some years, I went to Raleigh, North Carolina. I could not believe how close those two colleges are to each other. It was mind blowing. Like, I'm driving on the interstate. I wasn't far from NC State. I'm driving on the interstate. It's like, oh yeah, go this way, and Duke is in a few miles, and go this way, and Chapel Hill's in a few. Like, why y'all just on each other? Like, y'all can walk, not literally, but y'all can walk to the colleges.
Saying it was like in a few miles is Wake Forest.
I'm like, what? They just consolidated all the top colleges in one area.
Yep.
Strange, but yeah, he went to that state and didn't get recruited from any of them. So, like I said, it was just like he worked himself into the position that he's in. You have a great life. He's made hundreds of millions of dollars because of the work that he did. And that shouldn't satisfy you, though. I don't want people to think that Ayesha Curry should be satisfied because her husband's a multimillionaire. Like, if she had goals and dreams, then she had them. But I know that Steph would have hired a nanny so you could go. Again, I watched her Food Network cooking show.
Uh-huh.
I watched it regularly while it was on. So you still had a career outside of Steph. Savannah had no such thing. We don't know Savannah outside of LeBron. Yeah, here you are complaining. And it's just like, and he just doesn't get it. And it's just, It's sad, man. It's sad. And why are you doing this? Like, thank God that Steph is a man of faith. Because he could easily hear that stuff and be like, well, these girls in my DMs.
Yeah. It's like they won't treat me the way they won't treat me the way that you're treating me right now. They ain't gonna embarrass me the way that you embarrassing me right now.
And
Like,
Steph, of course, has defended her left and right. I don't like that dude. He has some kind of divinity over him because there's no way that he, as a prospect, should have accomplished what he's accomplished in the NBA. Some of those shots, I swear, some of the shots that he's made throughout his career is A and K all the way. There's a ghost grabbing that ball and putting it into the.
yo, I think that's a fact.
So there's a ghost grabbing them shots and putting it in the hole, yo. Because there's no way you should be making certain shots like this. You making 136 threes in a row with your eyes closed. Like that is definitely Jesus. They're coming to find out he's the greatest basketball golfer of all time, too. Like, what is this? You shouldn't be this good at this many things. And, a court, like, she's never said that he's a bad husband.
Yeah.
So it's just like, so if you have, and I struggle with this too. I want to be empathetic for Ayesha Curry because I struggle with this too. Like there were dreams and goals that I had when I was young that I have not accomplished, and to be honest, not even close to accomplishing. So I get the frustration. Like there's certain things that you wanted to do that you couldn't accomplish because life got in the way. In her case, it was having kids. In my case, it was also having kids, and not. But me, I was a teenage dad. So I'm like, okay, like I get that. I wish I could have been a teenage dad and been so good at basketball that I could have came out and played 1 year college basketball, been an instant millionaire. Because I think the one and done rule was in by the time I was in high school, graduating high school. I wish I was that gifted at basketball. No, was it? Oh, I don't know when they started doing the one and done. Because Dwight Howard is the last guy I remember getting drafted out of high school. But there might have been people after him. I just don't remember who they are. But it's just I feel for her, but I'm like, okay, but I'm so grateful for everything that I got. But I understand, like, even the Duchess, she's like, oh, like, is there anything wrong? And then it's like, in the moment, it's like, oh, there's like nothing wrong. But then you like when you reflect, it's like, oh shoot, like this is on my mind, or these certain things have been on my mind, and so it's not connecting the same, or I might be withdrawn without really knowing it, and so I can understand like on the opposite side because the Duchess, she wanted to be a nurse, she always wanted to be a nurse, and she is a nurse, and I always wanted to be a media mogul, and I'm not. So it's like I can understand that thing where it's like all right, he can't relate because he's living his dream and I'm not.
Mm.
So, and it's the opposite in my relationship. But I don't resent her for it though. It sounds like she resents him for it. Like I didn't.
Why'd
Nobody
you have to be so good at basketball?
say it again.
It's like, why'd you have to be so good at basketball?
Yeah, like it may because like in his case, it's such a rare thing. Anybody, like I shouldn't say anybody could be a nurse, but it's not like you can't be a nurse. but like only 1% of people who play basketball make it to the NBA. And only 1% of people who play in the NBA make it to be Steph Curry. So he's the 1% of the 1%. So I understand, like, I have some empathy for her, but I'm like, bruh, I promise you, if the Duchess was a millionaire, I'd be like, what you need?
Oh.
Ayesha Pinkett-Smith, man.
That might be the other one.
Yeah, because this is some Jada stuff for real. This is some Jada stuff for real.
Yeah, because like because the what do you get out of this? What do you get out of and what do you get out of saying this stuff publicly? Look, what's the end game here?
Yeah,
Because, like you said, if you're going to therapy for it, the rest of the world don't need to know about this shit.
yeah.
So, so it was like, are you actually going to therapy about it so folks could feel for you, or are you just saying that shit, or yeah, it's like, are you saying it
But
for
the problem is
sympathy?
nobody's really feeling it for her.
Yeah, because
They're
it's
like,
like,
yo,
yo, it's
you
like,
you
what the
got
fuck
you
has
got a
Steph done to you?
yeah, you got a good looking multi-millionaire guy who's loyal as hell. At least from what
It's
we know, there's no. Like I said, there's never been rumors of Steph cheating on her or anything like that. So it's just like you have a good husband, you have a beautiful family, you have you could get you can get anything you want, and yet you're still unhappy.
it's the it's the that joke. Yeah, it's the joke where the guy was saying about Adam and Eve. So Adam says to Eve, "Hey, we it's like we have this. Yeah, we have all these things. Yeah, we have all these things that we need, and whatever it is that we want, we could just imagine it and it can happen." And Eve says, "Yeah." He was like, "Yeah, it really isn't enough for me." Or verbatim, it was like you have everything, and yet it's still even having everything still isn't enough. Like why don't but cutting your losses and divorcing him ain't going to be an option.
Well, what losses?
It's like all you've been doing is winning, and for some odd reason,
But like I said, and it's just like okay, like you never wanted to have kids. Then why'd you have unprotected sex? Or why weren't you on birth control? You never wanted to be married. Then why'd you say I do? Why'd you
exactly.
say I will marry you when he got on the knee? Because
Yeah,
again, I
y'all didn't go
honestly
to the
think,
courthouse and he trick you into that shit.
yeah, I honestly think she didn't believe that he was going to be as great of a basketball player as he was or as he is. And it's just like he was going to be some fly under the radar. And so it's just like, okay, like I could deal with the NBA lifestyle if that's what you want to do. But
Yeah,
then there's a lot more obligations when you're a superstar like Steph. And it's like, okay, I didn't sign up for this. And that's the unfortunate truth, man.
yeah.
Anyways, let's wrap this up, big dog. What's your parting shot, Big Zero?
My parting shot is with the whole. So this guy named I've told you about him before. His YouTube channel is called The Amazing Lucas, and I think he went on a Fox debate, and there were a whole bunch of memes that were making fun of Charlie Kirk, and he found them funny, and then was like, how wrong is it for you to? It's like why he was laughing about it and everything. But there was one thing that he said that was pretty interesting. He said Charlie Kirk was going around to all these colleges talking about the black community instead of focusing on the black community. Why couldn't he focus on his own community and try to figure out what was going on there? Like you keep talking about you kept talking about black on black crime and what was going on in the African American community when that's not where you're from. You're worried about you're worried about everything else except for what's going on with your people. It's like all the mass shooters all identify as the same type of fucking person, and you're going to colleges debating about black folks. You needed to focus on why the folks that look like you keep on going the way that they keep on doing the things that they're doing and killing other students and things of that nature. But you're so focused on the wrong thing. The thing that you should have been talking about is the reason why you ain't here today. Like you needed to worry about your own people before you went off to colleges talking about folks that you don't even identify with. But what do I know? I just do pest control.
Yeah, it's unfortunate with that because he had all the stats for everybody else but them.
Yeah.
Like he had the stats for women, he like everything that he was against, he had the stats for. And the issue was the people who were going up there to debate him, the ones that actually had the stats to back up their stuff, he wouldn't let them debate him. So I was like, I just remember every time I would watch his debates and he would be like, okay, hold on. When they would throw stats at him and he didn't know them, he'd be like, hold on. And then he'll try to change the conversation. And it's just like, yeah, because he was disingenuous in his arguments. And I've been seeing a lot of like, I saw this one black dude, Christian channel. He was like, oh, like, let's look at the full context. And, there was one thing where he said, black women, black women, people were saying, he said black women didn't have the mental capacity. He was like, he didn't say black women. He said out of the millions of black women, these 4 black women didn't have the brain processing power and this, that, and the other because of DEI. He's like, I'm not saying that he was right or that I agree with him or the way he said it, but I can understand his point. No, the understanding his point because his point was you needed DEI to take a white person's job. That's what he said. So if you agree with his point, that's what his point was. So you agree. And it's just like these people are so caught up in being like, okay, let's unite because this guy is a Christian. But then when you ask him what Christian values is he actually upholding, every Bible reference he made was a fallacy, just like the slave owners did to the slaves in the 1800s.
Mm.
Because I think they said 70 60% of Americans today can't read above the 6th grade level. So this is what we're doing. This is who you manipulating. Because nobody actually goes and does the research. My partner shot is the fact that there are so many people in this world who have decided in today's climate to politicize everything to the point where the commander in chief is saying that there are people in America that are more dangerous than the people outside of him. He goes to Miss Charlie Kirk's funeral after his wife says, I don't blame the other side. I don't hate the other side for this. And then he goes up there and just dismisses everything she said. I'm sorry, Mrs. Kirk, but I hate him. This person is just sending the National Guard to everywhere that didn't vote for him, cutting funding, federal funding for everywhere that didn't vote for him. This is the prime example on why 3-year-olds can't choose their gender. Because we have a 6-year-old as a president right now. And this is what his whole, he is so hell bent on vengeance, he's forgotten about America. But guess what we haven't forgotten? Elon telling us you on the Epstein files. That's it for us. We love you.